That feeling's got to stay in us. We have to understand how damn near impossible this thing is. The people who are auditioning all the time, the people who are booking the work, they're the ones that are at a different level of preparation. It's as simple as that. So the more prepared we are, the more confident we are, the more confident we are, the better our takes, the better our takes, the more casting will pay attention, the more casting pays attention, the more they'll give you more opportunities to do just that. Because what's the casting director's job? The casting director's job is to find the talent in the city. What are you? Talent in the city. You have a team of people whose job it is to get you opportunities. Every opportunity you get to be in front of the camera is another opportunity for you to put your best foot forward. All right? That's what script analysis is about. Let's get to the answers. We get an audition breakdown with every audition that we go out for. There's so much information in that breakdown that's going to be even more to put towards our script analysis. So this section is called Breaking Down the Breakdown. You all have a breakdown of your auditions in front of you here. So pull out your breakdowns. And you can kind of jot along as you're going, or you can just listen. You'll have some time afterwards to implement what you're seeing here. But if the whole thing is about solving problems, what is our casting director's problems? Casting director's issue is they're looking for the right actor to fill this role. Whenever we have a problem in any capacity, we would get an expert, right? So if your car breaks down, you get a mechanic. If your pipes burst, you get a plumber. When casting has a problem of finding the right actor, they come to us. We're the experts here. They're so interested in our take of what's happening on the page. They're not the actors, right? They're not the ones who went to theater school to like learn about story and character and arc. They're not them. They're the people who have the information to set you up for success, right? So being that we're the expert, we have to make sure we know more than everybody involved. And it starts with a breakdown. So there's a bunch of things that you got to look for in your breakdown that we're going to go through. But when it comes to where we are and where we want to be, it all starts with preparation. The more prepared you are, the better informed you'll be. The better informed you are, the stronger your choices. The stronger your choices, the stronger your audition. The stronger your audition, the better impression that you're making. The better impression that you make it, the better trust, the more trust you build with casting, and the more trust you build with casting, the more opportunities they're going to send your way. So all the things you want to look for in your breakdown. You have your title, casting, network, production company, producers, director, deadlines, dates, project synopsis, character description, and then audition instruction and notes. All right. So that is a list of things that have just been gifted to you that we need to be focusing on before we even look at the lines of our audition. All right. The more informed actor will be the more prepared one. Again, preparation leads to confidence. Title. When you get your breakdowns, all you guys have auditions in front of you, pay attention to the title. A good title, you'll know everything that you need to know about the project off of that title alone. Next thing you want to look at is the casting directors, right? Now, take note of that win, because casting's seeing you for an audition. You're not one of the millions of other people that are just hungry for an opportunity. You literally have one that's been sent into your inbox. So take note of the casting, take note of the win, and pay attention to the last time you saw them, how often you see them, and the size of opportunity you got the last time you saw them. That's where you can really start to pick up on any sort of growth, right? So we looked at the title, we look at casting. Next, you want to check out the network. You get a lot of information from the type of network that you're auditioning for. An ABC procedural is different than like a Hallmark rom-com, yeah? So pay attention to the network, and you'll start to pay attention to the type of tone of audition you'll have in front of you. Next is the production company. Production companies are on all of the breakdowns. If you don't have IMDb Pro, I suggest you get it. It's $100-something for the year. You really do get a bang for your buck there because you get the nitty-gritty of all productions. If you wanted to look into the production company, you can do that on IMDb Pro. Start paying attention to the other projects that they're known for. A lot of these production companies have hundreds of projects they've done before. You'll notice a theme. So now I'm starting to add even more to the tone of audition I'm going out for. Then you want to check out the producers, the money behind it. What are the things that they've produced in the past? This is all more information for you before you've even looked at the project synopsis. You're now formulating your own opinion as to what's on this page. Then you want to check out the director. Take a quick look, see the types of projects they've worked on before in the past, if you recognize any of them, if you're familiar with their work or not. After that, you want to look at the deadline. When's it due? And start wrapping your head around how much time you have. Back when everything was in person, you had less than 24 hours. You get an audition at 5 p.m., you got to be there at 10:30 in the morning, ready to go. Now we're blessed with time, right? It's average 2 days before you have to submit a self-tape. So if anybody says that that's not enough time to do your job, you're wrong. You're not working hard enough, work harder. 2 days is more than enough time to prepare for any amount of opportunities that are coming in, all right? So pay attention to the deadline, start wrapping your head around who's gonna come in as my reader, if I gotta get somebody through Zoom, whatever it may be, plan your audition accordingly. After that, you wanna look at the dates, the bookable dates. Why I think it's important to look at the bookable dates is to remind yourself that you're an option, right? Casting wouldn't be asking for your tape if they didn't see you in the role already through your headshot, through your resume, and through the work that they've seen you do in the past. So I look at the date to remind myself, yep, I'm an option for this audition, like I'm an option for everything that I go out for. Nobody's out here wasting their time. The question of, is casting paying attention to our tapes? Yes. The answer is yes. They're looking because it's their job. And they're good at their job. How long they pay attention is up to you. It's the quality of work that you're producing. So look at the dates, find out if you're available. If you are, great. If you're not, reach out to your agent, let them know that you'll be regretting the audition. After the dates, look at the project synopsis. And this is the first step into formulating your own opinion as to what is actually going on the page. Let me start thinking about what this movie is about. At this point, I've already got an idea of tone, the similar projects that they've done in the past. Now I'm looking at the project description. After the project description, you're looking at the character description. After the character description, you look at the audition instructions and notes. Not all casting will leave extra bit of notes. Some of them do, some of them leave too much, but it's all good. Pay attention to the audition instructions and notes. So you have the title, casting, network, production company, producers, director, deadline, dates, project synopsis, character synopsis, and audition notes and instructions. The second you start approaching your work like this, before you started the script analysis portion, you're already filled your cup with a wealth of information that will better inform the choices that you make when you're breaking down your script. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes. You have your breakdowns in front of you. Everything you're looking for is here on the screen. I even have an example or two that you guys can look at exactly where to find it. Just underline the places where you'll find network, producers, casting, all that good stuff. But I also want you to take a few minutes to take your phones out and see how much information you can actually find on IMDb and just jot some of that information down. We'll break for about 5 minutes and then we'll get into the second part of this. And we're back. Cool. Okay, so that's breaking down the breakdown, guys. That's the first part of script analysis. The first thing that I do when I look at any audition is really break down that breakdown, extrapolate as much information as I possibly can to better inform my choices. Now let's get into, the final thing that I'll say about breaking down the breakdown is if they send you a script, read it. Like that doesn't always happen, but when they send it to you, it's for a reason. Why not, right? Why not get as much information as we can on these characters that we're doing these scenes with? Even if it's a one-liner, read the script if they send it to you. If they send it to 100 people, only 10 people are reading the script. Be one of those 10, your audition will thank you for it. As well as if you haven't watched a show of one of these episodics, watch a couple episodes before you do your tape. You know, get the better sense of the tone of these shows that you're going out for. And if you don't have time to watch an entire episode or two, at least watch the season trailers to get a better sense of what you're stepping into. They've already built this world when you're stepping into season 2 or 3 or 4. So you want to just, again, seep in the impressions that have already been made on the many seasons that they've been around. So do your research, add in that extra little bit, make it fun, watch a show at the end of your night, even if it's not necessarily the type of show that you'd want to watch. Do it for the research. Your auditions will be better for it. Next is script analysis. Being able to break down a script, in my opinion, is the most important thing that we'll ever learn as a film and television actor. All the answers are in the script. We just have to get better at figuring out what it's asking for. The second you can identify what these scripts are asking for and bring your own authentic choices to the information on the page, you will be unstoppable. Truly. Casting directors aren't interested in anything other than your opinion of what's on the text, right? Again, we're the experts at the end of the day. So to be able to formulate your opinion, the first step is figuring out what the script is trying to say. So with script analysis, there are 7 rules, 7 things you want to keep in mind, okay? Out of those 7 things, we have reading the sides. You pick up a script, first thing you want to do is read the sides. You want to read the sides a minimum of 3 times over from 3 different perspectives. Now, the first perspective is a first-time reader. What's my first impression of what I'm seeing in front of me? The second time you read it through, it's going to be from the perspective of your character. The third time you read it, it's going to be from the perspective of all the other characters that are on the page. All right, so before we do anything, we're reading that script 3 times over. Next thing you're going to ask yourself is, who are you talking to, right? Once you figure out who you're talking to, everything gets a lot easier. The way that I interact with my mother is going to be different than I interact with my partner. You know, my best friend or my enemy. Is this a person who has a level of authority over me, or is it the other way around? Am I indifferent to what this person is saying, or am I fully engaged? What's my connection to the person that's on the screen? Once you get that, you're already on the path of being able to truthfully connect with your scene partner. So ask yourself who it is you're talking to. Next thing you want to ask is, what's my objective? Every character that's ever been written since the beginning of time has an objective. What's the point? Why am I saying these words, and to what end? Figure out what my want is. It could be as simple as, I want a slice of pizza. That's here in this scene. It's written out in a way where I'm just trying to get this last slice. Or it could be a little more nuanced. It could be a little bit deeper. I want to be understood. I want to be loved. I want to be cared for. I want to hide, whatever that may be. Figure out what your character's objective is, all right? After you get from figuring out what your objective is, ask yourself whether or not you get it. A simple yes or no question. Did I get it or did I not? And then you want to attach a feeling to that. How do I feel about getting it? How do I feel about not getting it? Again, when we talk about choices, here's where it starts. Here's where we start coming up with our own interpretation of what's on the page. All 9 of you, all 10 of you can have an audition, the exact same audition, but you're all going to see it differently. And here are the moments where you get to pepper it with your own interpretation. After that, you want to ask yourself, what is your obstacle? So we've identified what our objective is. Here's this thing that I want. Now, what's stopping me from getting that thing, right? All great scenes have multiple pieces to it. If you have a scene partner, they have an opposite objective than yours. A lot of times it's contrasting to what you want. If we go back to that pizza, if I want a slice of pizza, there's only one left, and you also want that slice of pizza, we have the same similar objectives. We're each other's obstacle. I need to get it before you do. Let's get into an even more specific and simple example. Let's say you're a kid and you want a box of sugary cereal, right? And in this scene, you're with your mom and you're at a grocery store. Your objective would be simple. It's to get the box of sugary cereal. What would your objective, or what would your obstacle be? Our mom. Our mom's a health nut. Last thing she wants is to give us a box of sugary cereal before we go to school, right? So the objective is clear. The obstacle is clear. It's our mom. The next step is my most favorite thing to look into with script analysis, and that's tactics, right? Here's where things get really interesting. The tactics are truly where the magic happens, because there are infinite amount of possibilities of ways you can go about achieving your objective. So again, with the cereal, I want this box of cereal. I can flatter my mom. Hey, mom. Woman who held me in her stomach for 9 months. Whose feet are swollen at the end of work every single day. Who takes care of me, makes me food, looks after the household. I love you more than anything. Side note, Captain Crunch is looking, it's on special. Do you mind? Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the box. You know, maybe I decide to annoy my mom. You know, right? Maybe I'm one of those kids that's a little dickhead and I make a tantrum. I'm screaming, I'm kicking things, get me cereal. And my mom's mortified. She's embarrassed and then concedes to me. My mom would never, by the way. But, you know, or maybe I bargain. Hey, mom, how about this? I know you don't want me to get the Captain Crunch, but how about for a full week, I'm going to do the dishes, not just for dinner. I'm talking breakfast and lunch too. That's 7 times 3. That's 21 times I'm going to do the dishes. All week, if you spend $4.99 and grab me this box of cereal, what are your thoughts? So already these tactics are completely different from one another, and it's going to pepper the way that I perform my audition. So again, all of you guys could have the exact same audition, but it's in your choice of tactics of getting your objective that's going to make all of your auditions uniquely your own. So really pay attention to tactics. How are we going about getting what we want? And then after you've gone through all of that, you've already broken down your breakdown, you've looked at the project synopsis, character synopsis, network, tone, casting, you've done all the work we've already gone through. Now we've gone through reading the sides 3 times from 3 different perspectives. You've asked yourself who you're talking to. You've figured out what your objective is. You have an emotion attached to whether or not you've received it. You've identified what your obstacle is. You've identified what your tactics are, multiple options of ways you can go about achieving your objective. After you've done all of that work, then you start memorizing. All right? And at that point, you'll be shocked at how much of the lines are already in you. Memorizing lines is damn near the hardest thing actors are trying to figure out. You have 2 days to be able to do your job. I got to get these words in my mind, and I have to be believable enough to say them on camera. And depending on the size of the opportunity, you find a lot of the times you're just trying to get the words down. And you're not doing all of this script analysis. You're not breaking down your breakdowns. You're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that, right? By preparing in this sort of way, by doing this type of script analysis, you already have a deeper understanding of what's on the page before you've even started memorizing. But I understand how difficult memorizing can be. There's a couple of things that I do that I find to be very helpful. Somebody once taught me that if we were to imagine our mind, our brains, as a freshly paved road, first thing in the morning when you wake up, fresh tarmac, the paint is perfect, everything is aligned. And as you go on throughout your day, it becomes a little bit more cracked and then a little bit more, which leads to potholes because we're using our mind with all the tasks that we have to do, all the new faces, all of the work we have to do in a day of taking care of our family, our kids, going to our jobs, that by the time the end of the night comes, it's a dry, cracked desert road. And we need to sleep to refresh and start new every single day. The brain is more susceptible to new information first thing in the morning. So whenever I get an audition, I make it the first thing that I'll look at. And I like to break it up into sections. So I used to look at auditions where I would pick up the sides and I wouldn't leave until I got it down. That would take hours. That would take an obscene amount of time. This way is a little more simple. First thing I'll do when I wake up in the morning, again, the freshest, the most I'm able to absorb new information is I'll grab my sides and I'll have it with my morning coffee, 15 minutes. No more than 15 minutes is all you really need. But in that 15 minutes, it has to be deliberate and focused attention. No laptop out, no phone out, unless you're looking at your sides through your phone. Airplane mode. I'm talking full undivided attention for 15 minutes. Then I leave it alone. I'll pick it up later on in the day when I have a little bit of a break, and I'll give another 15 minutes. And then I'll leave it alone till the end of the night, and I'll make it the last thing that I see for 15 minutes. All in, you're looking at 45 minutes of working on your sides. I guarantee you, if you do that and you wake up the next morning, you're damn near all the way there. And when you have 2 days in between audition due dates, if you do that 2 days in a row, you're laughing. You're never stressing out about your lines. It's never overwhelming. And then when you get your lines down to the point of which you know them front to back, left to right, up to down, you're able to be free. You're able to really do the actor thing in front of the camera. As we've seen, the camera catches everything. This is our frame and that's it. If you're searching for your lines, the camera catches it. It's in the eyes, always. You're instantly unbelievable in what you're saying. So script analysis, break down your breakdowns, then get into your lines. And I challenge you all not to hit record until you are more confident than you've ever been that you can say these lines believably. Because again, incredibly competitive what we're doing. These opportunities that we get to actually audition show up in a way where if everybody is just as talented as you, because like we have to have an almost delusional belief in our own abilities, right? Because we're pursuing the impossible thing. We're doing that thing that's incredibly hard. But I believe that I'm talented enough to pursue this. I know that in my core, and that's why I'm going to go do it. No one's going to tell me any different. I believe I have that thing, right? So does everyone else. Everyone else believes the same thing. So what if everyone was right? Like, okay, I believe every single one of you are just as talented as you believe to be, just as talented as me, if not more so. The thing that I know will separate me from everybody else is my level of preparation. And that's it. The better prepared I am, the more confident I'll feel, the better choices I'll be able to make. And they always talk about, you just got to make bold choices. That's it. The secret to acting is just making good choices. But nobody tells you how to go about finding that. It's in your preparation. It's in your script analysis. It's how you break down your scenes. It's how you break down these projects. Now, that's the script analysis portion of things. There's an even deeper level that we can go. And this part is what I like to call what every scene must have. There are 7 things that you got to keep in mind that every single scene must have. And when I say must have, you can get away with like 2, 3, 4. Just make sure you pick a couple of these things and try incorporating it into your work. So we want to think about the scene's arc. We want to think about the scene's beats. We want to think about sensory and environment, moments before, moments after, buttons, and wardrobe. These are the 7 things that when you pepper it into your scenes, you're building a brand new world. Now, when I say arc, what I mean is a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whether it's a one-liner or 10 pages, every scene has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we need to be able to identify what that is and play that arc. We're not talking heads at the end of the day. We're living, breathing entities that need to tell a story. So when we're looking for moments, when we're looking for what's next here is our beats, a lot of that can be found in arcs, in the arc of the scene. Also, a good thing to keep in mind is when you have multiple scenes, if you have 2 or 3 scenes, every scene has a beginning, middle, and end, but there's an arc to the story they're trying to tell as well. It's all very intentional. You want to read everything that's on the page, by the way, even the FYI sections, even the portions that aren't in the FYI sections that are just extra dialogue. Read everything. All of it's more information. Just absorb all of that. Next is beats. What is a beat? A beat is when there is a shift in tone, intensity, thought, or intention. Tone, intensity, thought, or intention. When something happens in your scene, that's a beat that needs to be identified and needs to be played, right? This will avoid stagnant performances. This will force us to give us more of an arc to what's happening in these scenes, okay? Next is sensory and environment. That's back to theater school, right? Where am I? What time of the day is it? Am I inside or outside? Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I indoors at a library? Or am I indoors at a concert hall? That'll change the tone of which I speak. Am I whisper talking or am I really speaking up here? Pay attention to your sensory, and that'll really help in what's next, deciding your moments before and moments after. It's a nice little place where you can sort of pepper that. If I'm waiting for something, if I'm waiting for someone and I'm outside, and that's the moment before in this scene, before the first line said, maybe I take a few beats. I fix up my jacket, fix up whatever I got to fix up. Before I've said the first words, I've made a choice. They see I'm outside. Maybe I'm annoyed. I'm looking at my watch. I have an opinion about waiting, which will then propel me into the next moments of my scene. So sensory and environment, then we get into moments before and moments after it. Moment before, moment after will change everything if you're not already including them in your auditions, specifically with one-liners, okay? Now, moment before is incredibly simple. What was I doing before the first lines were said? And a moment after is what would I be doing after the last lines were said? When we were in the room back in the day, when they say action, you go, and you don't stop acting until they say cut. And they would just leave you. They just leave you and see what you're gonna do, right? Take that same energy and put it into your self-tapes. Give yourself a moment before, paint the picture of what's happening in this scene. We're tasked with telling the truth in imaginary circumstances. That's what actors do, right? When we do self-tapes, we're in a frame this big with a blank wall behind us, a mic and some lights, and we need to somehow tell the truth. We need to somehow build this world that's in this scene. The best of us at doing it implement something like moments before, moments after. It really helps to build this world, really helps you see and helps the people on the other side of the camera see what's happening in this scene. After that, let's talk about a button. Buttons are a little bit of extra dialogue at the end, okay? This is a bit of a hot topic, whether or not you should add them. Some casting directors like it, most don't really care. I believe they don't like it because too many people are using that element incorrectly. A lot of times the ego kicks in and it's like, I want to give myself more screen time, so I'm just going to say this line because it's funny, or I'm going to say this line because I think it's clever. No. If you're using a button, you're not seeking it, you're not looking for it, you're compelled to do it because it just makes natural sense in the progression of what's going on in the scene. If I'm reading a scene and I was like, I'm gonna say that because it's going to add an extra element, an extra little bit of flavor to my character choice. And it's gonna be of service to what's happening in the scene. It's not gonna be a selfish choice to try and stand out. It makes sense with what's happening on the page. So a good rule of thumb is if you're compelled to say something, say it. If you have to look for something to be extra, avoid it. All right? Buttons are incredibly powerful tools when used right. Wardrobe, you want to show up, dress the part, right? Before we've said the first line, casting needs to look at us and say, yep, that's a doctor. Yep, that's a cop. Yep, that's a nurse. Yep, that's a teacher. Yep, that's an assassin. Whatever the assassin would look like. But before you say your first word, they need to already see you as that character. So dress the part. It's a very simple thing. We already know this, but really invest in looking the part with everything that you do. And finally, props. Props are a great thing. Props are also incredibly distracting. Okay, so less is more when it comes to props. Really, if it becomes distracting, get rid of it. But it's also really great to just give ourselves some action, right? We're out of our heads and we're more so engaged in what's happening in the scene. We're more present if we can maybe give ourselves a little action. You're going out for a cop, the cop's in the room today. Get that notepad that you brought out. Make sure you're not looking down and losing your eye line. Make sure you have it in a position where they can always see what's going on. But give yourself a little action. Take notes, do your thing. Your scene, you were coming in at a bakery. You have the apron, and that's great. It's a beautiful prop. I already see it. Maybe you give yourself a small thing like a rag or something like that to just kind of add to it. Good props, clipboards, a book, your actual sides are great as well, a pen, glasses, a little notepad. Those are kind of like the 5 basics. If you're out here chefing up a storm just to prove that you're in a kitchen and you're making all that extra noise, you're doing the most, it becomes distracting, you'll take yourself out of it. So less is more when it comes to props. Always dress the part. And if you add a handful of these 7 elements, it'll really help to build your scene out and really give yourself a fighting chance here at the end of the day of really doing good work. Now, there are two examples that I would love to go through with you that implement all of these things here: arc, beat, sensory, moment before, moment after, adding button, props, and wardrobe. Okay? For this part, I'll need a volunteer. I saw two hands. We're going to go with Zach first, and then we'll go with you. Of course, it's you two. Okay. It's very simple. So this is going to be our scenario, our audition right now. It's a commercial audition. Okay. It's a Starbucks commercial. And for this Starbucks commercial, we're casting for a barista. Interior Starbucks cafe day. A customer walks into the Starbucks, is in search for a morning caffeine fix, and approaches a barista, 20s to 30s, very helpful. And your line is simple. Hello, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get started for you today? I would love to see Zach I want you here and just deliver your lines. And that's it.
Just that.
Just that. Imagine you're doing a commercial audition and simply say your lines. The sides are right there if you need to double check them. And you wait till I say action and action.
Hello, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get started for you today?
And cut. Beautiful. Give it up. All right, got a seat. Leah, you're up. What Zach did was give us what 98% of people are doing for their Starbucks commercial auditions. It's action. Hi, welcome to Starbucks. Can I get your order for you? And then we think if we dress the part and we can say the words and we're pleasant looking, that's enough. It's not. So what you're going to do is you're going to have this rag. You're going to use the back of this chair. Now keep in mind, if you step up to the chair, her frame is right here. Okay? This is the audition. When you start, I want you to wipe the back of the chair. Maybe there's a glass. You can maybe mind grabbing a glass and maybe kind of cleaning that. And then I want you to notice this customer coming in and clock them and then deliver your line.
Amazing.
And then I want you to add a couple lines at the end.
Great.
And action.
Hi, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get started for you? Ooh, great choice. Do you want that hot or iced? All right, get started.
Great, give it up. So already, that's it. You can grab a seat. That's it. That's literally it. By implementing a proper use of a prop, which was wiping down the counter, right? You have a moment before and moment after by simply pulling up and identifying the person coming in, right? You've given yourself something to add at the end. I like that. Great choice. Will that be iced or will that be hot? Whatever that is, and cut it off there, right? Maybe you add an action of punching in what's going on. So again, the scene is still alive even after the lines are done without being too much in anybody's face. It just makes sense. And you're giving yourself a couple beats to live. The audition doesn't stop at the end of the line. It's not just I'm saying words and then I'm not saying words. There's a moment of life that happened before your first line and a moment of life that's still happening after your final line, right? The arc was simple. The beats were there, beginning, a middle, and end. You're cleaning, you notice them, and then you give them the button at the end. That was a night and day than Zach's option. Agree, disagree? If you add these things, moment before, moment after, pay attention to the beats, play each beat accordingly, all the things we just went through, I guarantee you, your auditions will feel fuller, people will notice, and you'll get more opportunities to do that just thing.